Hello, this is Nimboy, and time for another Legend Fes Breakdown. This time, I'll be focusing on two Legend Fes banners that I missed this time because I skipped Izana and Roman this week. So, we'll start with... Oh, hold on. We'll start with the call that fades into the Valor Night. So this is the Chapter 18 main story. Chapter 18 Legend Fes Banner. So, here's the call of the fest into the Valor Night. So Stormy, Smite, Izana, and Reassuring Shielder Roman. Spoiler alert, I actually got Roman during the off-stream moments. So, Izana, Stormy, Smite, I did get her in the Japanese version, so this will be a bit quick. 52% damage, 2% break damage, 106 of weight. This is pretty much the weakest break damage for a group target. This will allow her to cleanse any negative effects, not status effects. Then after attacking, she'll boost critical damage received towards enemies by 20% for 2 attacks. This means enemies will be receiving more critical damage from Izana once she uses her skill to her burst skill. Martial Quake, 367, 32% break damage, 206 of weight. This allows Izana to boost her own critical rate by 50% with a maximum of 100%. And also increase her physical attack by 40% for 2 turns. This allows, once she reaches her 3rd skill 2, then this is where skill 1 will be coming to use if you're using her on a manual team. So Martial Quake is like a reverse to Chapter 6 Izana, if I recall. Izana does, the Bolt Attacker Izana does buff either critical damage or critical rate. So it's been a long time since I haven't checked on other variants of characters, but you know what? Let's cross-reference that. So where could Izana be? I do have her at Chapter 6. So for reference, Lightning Knock, the Return of the Night Izana allows her to boost critical damage by 50% with a maximum of 100. Now the reason why Izana is increasing critical rate this time is the Stormy Smite one is because there is a special ability that Izana can use. So let's go back to the Stormy Smite variant. The thing that does not restrict her critical damage because this is useful for Scarlet Hammer skill 1. Now, burst skill is Golden Valiant Leap. There's a very high chance that she will inflict stun or daze on the target for 1 turn, and this will allow her to increase critical damage received towards enemies by 50% for 2 attacks. The target will likely going to get significant damage output from Izana more than half the time during battle. Now do note this is only level 5, so you'll need to get her up to skill 5-star to take advantage of these damage counts, which is basically 500 versus 25% damage, 93% break damage, 206 of weight for 1 attack. Now what this one allows Izana to do is this one. When she defeats an enemy with a skill, she'll boost her own critical damage by 50% with a maximum of 100, and she'll be able to increase burst skill damage by 50% and then a maximum of 100. This will allow Izana to increase that Golden Variant Leap for up to 625% damage total and 1 with a hammer. Now this one is a critical overflow character, which if you have Swimsuit Valeria, this allows Izana to increase on top of having critical rate exceeding 100%. After 100%, she will convert the remaining rate of that critical rate into critical damage, which allows her to increase up to 400% critical rate, which in exchange she will be able to convert up to 300% critical damage rate. So therefore, Izana is pretty good if you're going to use on Roman's Grand Hermit Strike Division, because this critical rate will be useful and it will guarantee Izana to allow to use this ability, 1 with a hammer. If you do have other critical rate buffers, I think that could work, or use an item that increases critical rate buff. Izana will be able to convert this ability into critical damage, therefore exceeding expectations for a strike team. Now this is particularly only for single targets, so I guess Izana is one of the strongest strike single target attacker that you can get. Now she has an ability, power to those who trust in their friends, which increases which increases physical attack by 30% and allows Lanterna characters to go first. So this is the initiative, and these are the characters that are available on this tag. Now, other than Lanterna, she also has prowess in teamwork and whimsy. So get her in a whimsy. She does have color pattern of purple to yellow with critical finish 1 to 8% for 1 turn, strike blessing for 5 to 45% strike damage boost, and skill to power up. This is useful for Izana because this will increase her critical rate effectiveness, which let's say if you have double of these power ups and then the skill power is up to 60%, then Izana might be able to, let me calculate this one. We'll be able to get 80% of the 80% critical rate increase instead of 50 if you have skill trait level 5 on both skill 2 power boosts, and a maximum of 160 if you have both traits on. So therefore, Izana will be more powerful if you have her on with skill 2 power boost. So I'd say I already got her in the Japanese version. I will have to interpret that. Story Smite Izana is more of a double S rank for strike attacker team, as long as you're focusing on boss attacks or enemies that might attack on all characters. So make sure if you have Izana on your team, if you want to clear out boss characters or mid enemies that allows inflicting attacks on all targets. Next one is for Roman. Look at that! And anyway, so here is Reassuring Shielder Roman. Now I do have it in the global version. I have not experienced this Roman in the Japanese version. And hello, Daya, 6 days. You don't count me down on this. Anyway, Roman's damage and Roman's skill 1 is 61% damage, 6% break with 106 of weight. As expected, this is for first defender role. Single target and increases his own defense stats by 10% with a maximum of 3. He will also grant protection to himself for 2 turns and grant a self counter with his skill 2 career Unvol. This will work as 2 counterattacks. Do note this is not this does not stack, so if you use skill 1, then Roman will stay as is for 2 turns, even if you have to use skill 1 repeatedly. So basically this protection will work if one of your allies is going to get hit, single attack, that is not a defender, and Roman will be able to counter attack that enemy instead. So this one, Courier Unrolled, is Roman's skill 2, 147% damage, 11% break damage for 206 of weight. This allows him to restore all allies HP by 5% and reduces all allies damage received by 50% for 1 turn, which is the maximum of 2 times. This is stackable until enemies will try to attack that same character. Now this reduces target damage by 15% for 1 turn, though all enemies that have been attacked by Roman will have their debuff on will be inflicting 50% less than usual. So this is a group attack, 147% damage for level 5 skill for a group attacker. I'd say it's okay-ish for me at least. So Le Grand Bouclier, I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know his name was a skill. Alright, so single attack, 525% damage, 93% break damage, 206 of weight. After attacking, restore all allies HP by 50%, grant all allies negative effect immunity for 1 turn. Basically, enemies will try to inflict debuff, will be getting invalid instead. This allows all allies damage received by 50% for 1 attack to debuff, basically. Now, Roman, I think, is pretty good. Now, not only after attacking, he does have 3 effects in hand. All allies with the negative effects, and then debuff damage received. This allows saving grace in case if you're going to have trouble going through story chapter 18, especially have to deal with one of the Polar Knight alchemists there. So yeah, HP heal, negative effects immunity, and damage received debuff. Now he has two abilities bearing the Pride of Royalty. When an enemy counterattack a single target, takes the counter instead of the targeted ally and reduces damage by 20%. Now, this is confusing. Especially, I tried this in a Japanese version of the stream. Do check out my YouTube channel if you want to check out the Japanese version stream that I did. I did do a live Legend Fes Breakdown over there. So yeah, this is confusing when an enemy's counterattack is single target. So if that counterattack is single target, not attacking all groups, all members, which is 5, the Roman will be doing skill 2 towards that. Will do counterattack on that enemy instead of the targeted ally, and that allows him, after being counterattacked by an enemy, he will reduce the damage inflicted to that enemy by 20%. Basically, Roman debuffs damage inflicted to that enemy after the enemy tries to attack Roman instead. Oh dear, when hit by an attack, restores his own HP by 15%. Okay, simple as that, okay? So, this leader skill for future reach areas, Justice and Exploration characters' burst skill damage are up by 100%, meaning double the damage. Not double the damage like multiplication, but I think it's an addition rate, so this boost is useful if you want to amplify that. For Justice and Exploration characters, to note these characters anyway, so yeah. Alright, so gifts colors this time. He has red to green. Guardian's Blessing increases defense stats for 1 attack. Strike Curse reduces strike resistance towards that enemy for 1 attack. And Receive Recovery Up boosts HP recovery, including his own healing skills by 2 to 15%. Very good, I guess. I give it an A or an S if I have to recommend for healing all allies and then negative effects immunity. But it varies between Strike Tower floors or not, or Story Chapters or Roman Grand Tournament. But basically, if you want him to restore allies and then try to reduce target damage, I guess Roman can be on the offensive side for Defender, but not in a significant degree. This allows him to either reduce allies' damage received or allows him to reduce enemies' damage inflicted debuff. So it's a bit confusing, but once you get a hold of this Knight in Shining Armor, I guess Roman will be a useful strike defender. Useful, somewhat better than Oscar from Atelier Sophie, but I wish I could give him some more purpose than just being a placeholder defender. But Roman is gonna be a good upgrade from Oscar. Better hope that he'll get his 3-star soon. Nope, Jerome. And I'm recording, by the way. So, why did we fight? Illustration this time is by Suzumu Kudori-san. This favors physical attack, especially this is for Izana. While equipped to a character with strike affinity, this will boost skill damage up to 52%. Simple as that. Strike attackers will be able to take advantage of this Memoria. But there are similar Memoria to this one, but this one has increased physical attack at a cost of less speed, increased HP like 18, and then magical attack of 16, and disregard these. Just 13.75 defense though. I'll do trial battles for each characters later, but for now I'm going to the second part of the Legend Fes Breakdown for this session this time. Brave Blaze Ryza and Brave Blaze Ryza and Heroic Assault Judie. Now, do note that their elements are different. Fire and strike as usual. Ryza is on strike breaker duty, while Judie is on fire attacker duty. Now, Brave Blaze Ryza. This one, she'll boost her own stun damage by 40% for 1 turn, pretty quick and easy. 60% damage, 20% break, 100 ticks of weight, single target. Gemini Strike. This one, this allows two things. After attacking, she will boost physical attack damage received to that enemy by 50% for maximum of 30%. By the time Ryza uses her skill 2, her third will be at its maximum potential because the physical attack stack will be useful until the end of the battle. Now, the next once she uses skill 2, the next ally after her will convert a panel into a boost panel as long as it's not a burst panel. This also creates a panel if the panel is empty. So, get basically a strengthening panel to the next ally that you're going to use. I prefer let the Ryza use that effect to the next attacker. So, yeah, Celestial Attractor. 420% damage, 375% break damage, 200 ticks of weight. She will do two things depending on the scenario. 428%. Now, this is a single target, do take note, and then the damage counters are only at 5-star. So, make sure you have her. Make sure you use the memory pieces of Ryza if you want to upgrade that skill count. Now, this allows one target to buffs physical attack damage received by 50% for 3 attacks, and because Ryza has a very high break damage, if the target is stunned, she will grant physical attack to the ally with the highest physical attack by 50% for 1 turn. The next attacker will likely going to get a knockout on that enemy that is weak against Ryza's Celestial Attractor Burst skill. Now, because of the increased physical damage received by this overpowering effect, the next attacker will be able to take advantage of this one. So, yeah, double. I guess you could say 100% additional damage towards that enemy if it's stunned. Now, I did hear news coming up in the Japanese version that the burst skill effects will be adjusted. I think it's a positive change, but I'll have to check that out. Maybe XP will check on these upcoming patch notes, as Chapter 23 is announced will be the final chapter for Story Part 2. So, yeah, I still have a lot to catch up, especially Chapter 22 in the Japanese version is still ongoing. Now, let's go back to the Legend Fes part. Now, Ryza's part, advance all physical attack plus 10, obviously for all allies, and Power of Destruction, boost stun damage by 15%. I think this applies to herself only. No other characters will do. So, Spirited characters. Attack stat will be up by 10%, and skill damage is... Okay, go ahead. This is confusing. Now, I'll break through Ryza's... this Ryza variant is part of the Spirited tag. Now, this allows Spirited characters' attack stat to be up by 10%, and increase skill damage and break damage by 30%. Basically, if you have these characters on your team, variants of Ryza, Swartz Soul. Actually, there are 2 Soul characters: Charlotte, Neo, Wilbel, Judie, Joanna, and Meru. They will have increased skill damage and break damage by 30 if you want to use them on non-story chapter battles or EX challenges for that matter. Other than that, obviously she is part of Kirkin Island, just as an exploration and adventurer. Give colors this type for Ryza: the Brave Blaze and blue to red. Enhanced last attack allows, well, this is a unique trait that you can get. I remember the last time I saw this trait was from Swartz Soul. Magical defense blessing up by 1 to 8% for magical defense stack for 1 attack, and skill 2 stun damage up. Now, skill 2 break damage up is basically if you're using skill 2 on autoplay team, that character using skill 2 will getting a break damage buff. So grab that stun damage if you rely on this one, the Gemini Strike. Especially Ryza will be able to use this for all targets. I'd say this Ryza is pretty good, especially if you want to focus on increasing the physical attack of your main attacker. Now, there's no element restrictions, fortunately, so you can use this Ryza on a team that relies on physical element team. So yeah, useful, maybe somewhat stronger than Corneria or Flocke. But you know what? I have to say what it is. I also have to forget to mention her stat balance, but I'll disregard that moving forward. Judie, Heroic Assault. Now, this is a fire attacker, by the way. So, if you're thinking you're gonna have to replace Awakened Spirit, Awakened Future Resna with Judie, I recommend not. So, Spear of Fire, 90% damage, 7% break damage, 106 of weight, single target. She will boost targets, critical damage received by 20% for 2 attacks. If you have Resna, that is the 3-star variant Awakened Future one, that could have been useful if you're going to use alongside Judie. Now, this boosts targets critical damage received, which is basically a debuff because towards a debuff for enemies, because that will be useful if you have characters that already have high critical rate. Will be getting an incremental effect on that enemy that has this effect. Judie has skill 2, single target, 331% damage, 33% break damage, 206 of weight. This will allow 2 things for what will happen. She will boost all allied attackers' critical rate by 20% and allied attackers' critical damage by 10%. Now, both have a cap, obviously, with 100% and 50% respectively. Now, I guess Judie can be useful to pair with another attacker if you don't mind having only one supporter, one breaker, and one defender. The thing is, this Judie would be useful if you have 2 attackers in a team. There's a possibility you can use three attackers in a team. You know what? This is useful if you're specifically building attackers that have its own self-support effects, whether it be healing upon attacking enemy, increased damage received towards enemy upon attacking, etc., etc. Judie does have a special role, but in the case of stacking attackers in a team, it's a bit risky, especially if one of your attackers will likely have less HP counter than her, so even if it's level 90. Hidden Tactic, Hyper Meteor is her burst damage, with 315% damage, 37% break damage, 206 of weight. Targets all enemies on the screen. Now, this allows to boost critical damage received by 30% for 2 attacks. Do note this is only after attacking. If Judie does a critical attack, like increase critical rate, this will convert the panel of the next ally in the turn of your order into a burst panel. So, negative effects, strafing effects, recovery effects. The next ally used after Judie uses her burst skill will be converted into burst panel. It will also create if the next ally does not have a burst panel in hand. So, next level panel manipulation, basically. Yeah, Overeager Tomboy is one of her skills. This allows to boost potency of damage spells received and given by 20%. So if you have a battle item or skills that manipulated damage counters, Judie is the way to go. Although this only applies to herself, and I'll get you for that. After using a skill, increase her own magical attack by 10%. Basically, use any skill, and then by the 6th skill, Judie has already increased her magical attack by 10% with a maximum of 50. So it's an incremental stat boost, unlike Awakened Future Resna, where you have to rely on either skill 1 or skill 2 to increase magical attack. Judie, if you want a sustainable or incremental magical attack until the end of the battle, you can use hers, especially in battles where you'll be taking on swarms of enemies, and that skill 2 useful for taking out boss fights, but also allows other attackers to wipe the boss enemy out. Burnt to a crisp, however, this allows critical damage of characters with fire element up by 25%, which is basically a quarter buff. So, a quarter buff addition, so 1.25. That's a given. She has tags for Justice and Exploration, Merchant, Shonin, and Spirited. Gift colors this time for Judie. This variant, however, yellow to green with boost destructive power boost, battle items damage buff, magic blessing for boost magic attack damage, and single attack power up. This is useful if you want to use Judie on skill 1 and skill 2. Actually, this is skill 1 and skill 2. If you do have other attackers that rely on single target skills, then single power is gonna be useful if you are to use Judie in a future synthesis session. So, long story short, Judie is good for attackers, although not useful if you let Judie be the sole attacker of your team. So I give it A to S if I have to. So yeah, that's all for the characters. Now for the Memoria. Power of Positivity, illustrated by Kodama GS-san. This is a balanced 23.25% attack stat buffer. This is useful for breakers, however. When equipped to a breaker, boost all target attack stun damage by up to 58%. Now I do have OG Mari for a long time, and her skill 2 does attack all enemies. So use this if your character uses skill 2 for targeting all enemies, or if you want to equip that Memoria to a character's burst skill that will allow breaking all targets. Make it or break it. Take it from Swimsuit Claudia, Chapter 14 Roman, or Chapter 6 Leela. Leela and Roman, or single target breakers. Blackta does use this by all target attackers, but yeah. Useful if you want to rely on skill 2 all target or burst skill all target, as long as you're using it manually. Alright, so time for trial battles, and then I'll finish the recording. Now this is my favorite. Yeah, it's pretty dang beautiful. Especially, it would have released it back in autumn. And Smackdown. That Dracula arena is just wow. Of course, we're dealing with golems that changes stances depending on which type of attack you're using. So I'll have to pause the recording once I covered all of Izana's attacks. Give the increased critical rate to Izana. So good, thankfully there's Flocke already on our team, and then Snowy Verona. So we get a chance to get some snow halation in. Let's see. I'd say Martial Quake. Now this is what it happens. Increases critical rate, but at the same time, it's useful to clear out enemies anyway. Now because Verona is the one increasing critical rate for Izana, that's just a temporary buff, but Izana's permanent critical rate buff, I guarantee you, is permanent. You can check out this one. Max buff of 100 and the brand new me. This works because of her ability. And last but not least, critical damage up, which Flocke gave us. This is basically a recycled skill 1 animation for Chapter 6 Izana and the Hanayome Izana. So I'll skip over to Chapter 18 Roman shortly. Alright, see you guys in the next B-roll. Well then, this is her victory animation, by the way, so onward to Chapter 17 Roman. Interesting. Roman is teamed up with Juna and Empo. Wow. You're just a jerk, wooden golem. Well, now look at the shield. Press! Alright. Smooth moves, sir. And then his final strike is a shield press. Shoot through the spear to the wooded golem. Okay, so give it to Robert, I guess? Yes, I can let Empel use his skill 1, but I'll have to do this timeline based on how the autoplay is using. Oh, counterattack, eh? Alright. Courier unfold. Oh look, it's a fireball! He already reflected my robot's attack. Ooh. Nope. Nope! Not this time. Oh yeah, if you don't have skill 1 active, that means Roman will not counterattack the golem, by the way. Alright, good luck getting a counterattack by this golem. Yeah, this doesn't work, so... Come on. So, let's see. Oh yeah, this only works if that golem is going to single target Roman out. There! His skill 2 is active because the golem hit him. Oh, sending this over to Ryza and Judie shortly. And here's his victory animation. Well, glory for Lantarda so far. Alright, switching over to Ryza and Judie. Alright, here comes Brave Blaze Ryza alongside Swartz Rose Judie and Swartz Rose Sul and Empel. Interestingly, Empel is teamed up with Ryza, and then much like for the previous battle I did with Roman, yeah, Empel's already right beside him. So here's Celestial Attractor. You can also see this in main story, chapter 18, additional episode, the Charging Trio. Boom! Capture the golem and much like a ball, a sphere that captures the golem, and then you have this, a celestial time bomb, likely quantum class. Give it to Ryza. Yeah, no difference. But what this one works because Buckle of the Knees is used, and that is actually from Sul. So this buff comes from Ryza, I think. Here's Gemini Strike, and unfortunately the boost paddle will be effective on Empel this time. Oh, it's just a small spear for fire and the other one for ice. Then you just kick it through. A mixture of fire and ice. Give it a Soul. Nice try. And then here, and increase the stun damage counter, by the way. Alright, skipping over the Ryza's victory animation shortly. She's juggling 3 elemental spears on her hammer. And that's her victory animation. Switching over to Judie. Regular Ryza and Twilight Order Logi. Wait, what's the use of him? Oh, it's because of the, it's because to increase scroll rate ally. I get ya. Knock out the Heavy Armor Knight first. Here comes Hidden Tactic Hyper Meteor. Expect for some comedy from our good old friend Judie. She's flying with her broom! Oh, it's a meteor item. One good use of that item, although it's pretty consumable. Get out of here before that ruin crumbles down. Oh well. That is so funny. Now after that burst attack, basically Ryza just almost knocked out the heavy armor knight. Thank goodness. Burning leash. Of course she's using that to capture enemies, right? Yep, it converts her fireballs, and then it has chains around it to entangle that enemy. By the way, that heavy armor knight is so far away, right? Yeah, unfortunately, Logi will likely do a critical attack against him. Oh no. Oh, never mind. I guess Judie will not be showcasing that skill 1 attack anyway. Saves time anyway. Woo-wee! There's Judie's victory animation. That's one little detail I noticed of that sweat. Anyway. That's all for this Legend Fes Breakdown. Compiled 2 banners in one go. Sorry for the delay for that former banner because I thought I was not going to cover that. The other 2, but thankfully I compiled that instead. And with only 20 minutes into daily reset, I'll have to start Sword Chapter 18 cover before Koga tries to ask me I should play Senran Kagura again. So anyway, that's gonna be it. Summary, I already explained that in each banner's parts, so I will skip that verdict. So, next Legend Fes Banner will be Chapter 19. Obviously, it's going to be Flocke and Heidi, last time I checked. The next banner will likely be Halloween, Legend Fes Banner 2024, the Memoria in the Japanese version, but less likely because it's just only the feature 1 Memoria. But if there is, I will have to just give a brief summary instead. So anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, Discord server, Blue Sky, links video description below. And finally, I'll see you guys in the next video. And yeah, it's already like 37 minutes of recording. So anyway, see you guys next time, and see you on chapter 21 or 22 coverage live stream. Anyway, goodbye. See you soon. You know what? I'm just gonna let this B-roll finish the video instead, so give it a little like 38 minutes or so. So, yeah. Wonder what's gonna happen after we get Story Chapter 23 in the Japanese version. I mean, that's just my wonder. One small detail I forgot. It's been a long time since I haven't played an Atelier game. Gosh dang it. I wish I could just finish the first run of Atelier Corona because of that meteor item. Yeah, the funny cook is the funniest little detail for Judie's skill first. Goodbye, everyone.